Hello and welcome back, episode 2 of the Kinship vlog. What I want to talk about today is the invisible hand of the environment and its effect on human behavior. And the book that I'm reading, which I would encourage everyone here to check out, Atomic Habits by James Clear. And what I wanted to touch on today was a specific chapter where he's talking about what he calls the invisible hand of the environment and its effect on behavior. And I want to apply that to our relationships. Well, first I want to just talk about a couple of examples of some behaviors that I've had in the past. I would eat my dinner upstairs in my office by myself. Why is that? What does that have to do with environment? Well, here it is. It's not one reason or one cue, but a collection of environmental features. The first was that I didn't keep any food at home that I liked to eat for dinner. I'll just run out and get myself something. A second factor is sort of the timing of dinner. So our children would eat a little bit earlier. My wife would eat at some point later in the evening, and I would fit my dinner in whenever that would be. And so there wasn't a set family time that we all ate dinner. Third factor, I would almost always have some sort of fast food. I would bring that home. That'd be really tasty for me, but it's a really bad thing to put in front of our kids because they would want to eat whatever daddy's eating. So they would be wanting to take bites of my food. They would want to eat a bunch of my chips or my French fries, bites of my burgers, whatever, and then not eat the food that they had. So it became a very strong negative reinforcement for me not being there. So the solution we came up with was I didn't eat my food at the table, so I removed the temptation for the kids to eat that food, right? So now you've got this sort of confluence of factors, these environmental factors. You have a whole context that shapes this decision that happens automatically. That's like, well, I never eat dinner downstairs at the dinner table. I always eat it upstairs in my office in front of my computer. Well, what happens when I'm upstairs in front of my office and on my computer just eating food? Well, I'm watching videos, I'm playing games, I'm doing stuff, I'm numbing out, and around that cycle goes, and that habit gets built. The reward is I feel good. I'm eating junky food that makes me feel good for a short bit. I've got, the dopamine coming from tapping on my social media and watching the videos and playing the games. And this all becomes a product of my environment in which we don't have a set schedule. We don't have the right meal planning. We don't have the right solutions for good food, bad food. And what happens is the easy habits, the easy way out wins out. At one point or another in our relationship, my wife learned that stepping into the car with me meant that she had to hope for no traffic, no run-ins with bad drivers, because she would know that it would cause me to get upset and yell. That would trigger her. My yelling would trigger her. She would yell at me to stop, and boom, all bets are off. We're fighting. We add in the fact that if we're in a car, there's a lack of direct line of sight, right? I have to look over here, but I can't because I'm driving. So I can only see her in my peripheral vision, which we know from a different topic that is a point of discussion for another day, that you need eye contact to have safety. So combined with the fact that there was less safety because we're not looking at each other, and a learned context for my wife that in the car with my husband means uncertainty, lack of safety, conflict. Is it a wonder that at that point in time, we fought constantly when we were driving around from place to place, whether we were going from a date, coming home from a getaway, whatever it was, getting into the car led to trouble. What I want to do today is really just kind of shed a little bit of light on the fact that there's a lot going on automatically without us realizing it every single day, and it has an immense impact on our relationship. How we perceive our environment dictates the cues that we pick up on, and therefore the habits that we crave or act on. And our perception of the world and of our environment is driven by our senses, our sensory nervous system. And it's important to note that vision is the most powerful sense that we have. There's something like 11 million sensory receptors in the body. 10 of the 11 million are dedicated to seeing. So it's a very heavily skewed portion of what we pick up on. And what that means is a small change in the way you see things can lead to a big change in the way you do things. If you want to make a habit a part of your life, make the cue a big part of your environment. Make it obvious right in front of your face. What you want to do is apply this principle to the places in your environment that have a high impact on your relationship. Well, how do we do that? Well, the first way in which we're going to do that is a little exercise that I'll give you, which I'm going to try and do this week myself. So we'll come back, we'll compare notes. So for one day, just take notes on your phone, whatever. Every time you interact with your partner, take a mental note of where you are when you're interacting and what's in the room with you. What are you interacting with physically as you're talking to or doing something with your spouse or partner? And then kind of make a note of like, how does the room separate from your partner? If you just stop the conversation and thought for a second, like, all right, I'm in a messy room. How's this making me feel? I'm in a tight car in traffic. How am I feeling about this? So just take a separate note about how the environment makes you feel. So where you are, what's there, how you feel there, right? Just keep a log of that for one day. Every time you have an interaction, whether it's on the phone, whether it's in person, whatever that is, keep track of that, okay? At that point, we're going to go back and look at it and sort of layer on a look or an awareness of how might the environment be affecting my relationship. Well, about 5 or 6 months ago, my wife and I sat down and we said, hey, we need to do something about our meal schedule. We need to do something about how we eat food. We didn't even talk about I'm eating up in my office a bunch. We started with we want to have family dinners together. And so we set out to do that. It forced us to do something we hadn't done before, which was sit down together and make a grocery list. And we had to do some meal planning. And we did that for 30 days. And the crazy thing about that was that there wasn't even an intention to change my habit of eating my meals up in my office. But as a result of scheduling family meals, so we had family meals, it was all 4 of us for dinners at a certain time every day, because now we were to cook a meal, so it all had to be prepared and eaten at the same time. That just immediately took care of the separation and eating up in my office. Second is going back to the car example, where driving in the car together created lack of safety and conflict. Really, all we did to this is add some awareness to the situation. And this just changed our environment just by becoming aware of the environment, right? We still ride in the car together. It's still a car. We still sit side by side. But there's a lot less conflict now because we know what was going into it. Now, the cue, the habit in the car has changed from I'm on autopilot, I'm reacting to the cars and the other people in the traffic around me, to I'm in the car and I'm aware of my partner and our interaction because we're in a car. And it's a heightened situation, sure. But my main focus is now, my main awareness now is on the relationship between me and my wife in the car, and not just driving to drive like I would always drive and not paying attention really to anything else, and then causing things to happen because I wasn't aware of what was going on inside. And so that's an example of just a shifting awareness can have on the environment. So to wrap things up, let me give you an example of what can be done to properly design your relationship environment. And this is what Jasmine and I did. We took a space in our bedroom and we said, we're going to dedicate this space to us. That sounds silly, but this is going to be our space. And when we go into this space, this is where we're going to be thinking or doing something about our relationship. And so we call it Tahoe Corner. And the reason we call it Tahoe Corner is because we had a trip when we were first starting to date in Lake Tahoe. It was a very fond place for us, lots of great memories there. And so we decided to bring Lake Tahoe into a little corner in our bedroom. We set up 2 kind of cozy chairs, a little table we can set our drinks or books on with a little lamp, pictures on the wall of Lake Tahoe and our visits out there, and a nice big blue rug, which we corny kind of represents the lake. So we created this environment that is sentimental to us, and has a very specific meaning of when we're here, we need to be thinking about us. It's a incredibly highly visible. It's very, the decorations are there, the pictures that pull us right in. It's colorful, it's very comfortable. It's a place that we want to go to. And so we often do go there. And we know that when we go there, we're thinking about ourselves and each other. And so that is a way in which you can you can kind of reshape your environment and sort of give it a specific meaning. And that will help you to create opportunities to practice and to get good at the parts of your relationship that might be difficult to think about in the course of a busy day. If you don't have a space that's dedicated to connection, you can find yourself going through a day like me, and going through a week, and going through a month, and going through a couple of years, where you just come home and you just veg out, you eat dinner by yourself upstairs, and all of that is wasted opportunity to reinforce the connection in your relationship. And then you find yourself kind of fighting an uphill battle to find the time. And then you put lots of pressure on yourself for the date nights and things. You're driving somewhere and all of a sudden now there's lots of traffic where you're driving on your date and everything gets why are we fighting? Oh, this is terrible. This is our one time to get. And so you can see how these things link together, how the environment makes this large, invisible impact on our behavior and our feelings and our relationship. So take from this today, go try out that exercise some point this week. Write down the things, where you're at, what's going on, how you feel, and just think about how the environment has this impact on you, and how you might want to start tweaking it in ways that's going to open up some more opportunities for you. I just want to touch on the fact that in these vlogs, I'm going to be going through stuff pretty quickly, and I can't really dive deeply into too many subjects without rambling on for a long time. So if you want to hear more about maybe the Atomic Habits book by James Clear, or just relationship environments in general, I'll be writing articles about that and publishing those throughout the week. We'll be creating some content that people on our email list can download. We've got a podcast coming out soon in the next few days. I've got all this stuff to be able to go deeper into these topics, and I would encourage you to check those out as we build all that content. And that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next week.